I recently did a 3D printer shootout between my two bottom-of-the-line 3D printers. We have the Phrozen Sonic Mini, which is a resin printer, and the MonoPrice Mini Delta, which is an FDM printer. And I chose this flail snail model because it's something that's big enough that an FDM printer can print it. It's mostly one big piece except for these things at the top. It has just a little bit of overhang here, but something that an FDM printer can do on its own. And so also it has a whole bunch of surface texture and details that's really great for a resin printer. And the FDM printer costs about 180 bucks. And it does a pretty good job here on the details and texture of the skin. The downside is when you get up to these fine details with the overhang, there's some stringy lines between it as it comes out of the printer. Now you can clean those up with a little bit of filing and a hot air gun, but there is a little bit of stringiness. And also it has a little trouble with the overhangs and the really small section up high with nothing else. Because it doesn't have a print cooling fan, the plastic gets a little bit melty there and a little bit deformed. It does an okay job on the surface texture, but not as good as the resin printer. Now the resin printer does an excellent job rendering this guy. The surface texture is really nice, but it takes about twice as long to print, and of course you need to have a lot of post-processing. So you're doing a wash, you're doing a UV cure, you also have to modify the model to have a hole in the inside so that you can rinse out the inside hollow resin bit, and it takes about twice as long to print. Now when you include in the cost of the wash and cure station, the resin printer is more expensive. The FDM printer is a little more economical in its materials, and so you will have more prints for a little less money. Bottom line, if you're looking for pure quality, especially for minifigures and small items, the resin printer is going to be the way to go. If you're really looking to build 3D models that you need to print quickly and you don't want to have to do a lot of finishing work, the FDM printer is pretty nice for that. So things like gears and mechanical parts work pretty darn well if they're designed for an FDM printer.